later. Welcome to Regen Dev Call. Today's an update. I've been working a lot with Aaron the last few weeks, trying to really clarify what a roadmap is, what is essential for release, and what's not. It was actually an extremely both ambitious and well thought plan out here, vision for Regen. Lots of things that can be done already. So I kept talking to him and trying to sort this out, and he presented the ideas yesterday or last week, and I kind of wrote them down in an article, which is published today. So yeah, I think some of you read that. I can go over that. Well, I'll go over generally, first of all, where we're going next month, and then until mainnet launch, and then we can discuss more after that. So the first main point is for the next month, we want to really focus on the upgrade, finalize upgrade manager. Ideally, we finish a PR. Basically, we will finish all the work we want. We will demonstrate this working well on our test and upgrade. We will do any polish needed, and we will get this PR into SDK, hopefully, knock on wood. It's been pending for a long, long time. They've discussed it, we've rebased it. In generally, they're open to it, but we have to demonstrate it working well. And we are making good stuff. So hopefully we get this into tenement core. When that's in there, we probably have to do a testnet reset at some point after 1 or 2 more upgrades, because they've been so many breaking changes we cannot follow them, and they're still following them. So basically have to jump to 0.38 SDK at that point, and then from then on try to have a continuous testnet that just goes from then on with no more breaks, slowly upgrading it. That's our main focus now, is really finalizing that, which is one of the main blockages for launch. And the other is actually building a product for launch, which we're working on designs currently, trying to onboard some front end devs, get that going. So that's there's some smaller backend tasks to get on the contracts working, and then it's really front end design stuff and product work. So we're doing that in parallel as the infrastructure work. So that's actually happening a bit behind the scenes, sort of focusing really on the blockchain customer stuff and validator related stuff. But this whole product design, beginning of development, web app stuff for actually a product use running on top of a blockchain is happening in parallel. And that's a major, actually important part. It's not just theory. We're actually trying to work hand in hand with practical usages. Yeah, so to make this a little more concrete, I can give an update of last time we discussed so I'll dig into this a little deeper on this point, and then we pull out to other questions. So hopefully it makes sense. The last time we discussed a few things which were problematic with the upgrade. One of them was using height, which is height instead of time. We need to have a check to make sure that they don't run too early. And we need a better automation scripts. The scripts aren't working. And we want to be able to reclaim the new blocks. So I discussed this with Aaron, and I'll share my screen briefly. Let's see, can I share screens? Yeah. Okay, here we are. So this one I just did actually pull this in today, finished it. And that works to verify that we're not running code that is too new. If we run a binary that is newer, so if we have the currently 1001 for El Choco, and then if we have the next release, I don't know what it's called, El Mango, and if you're running El Mango binary before it actually hits the turn, it will abort. So if you're running El Choco binary after the break, it'll abort, and if you're running El Mango before the turn, it'll break. So that's done. This is merged here. You can see the pull request in Regen. So this is a fork. It's an old fork of SDK, but it works there. We'll port this onto the new PR we're making for Custom Network. So that one is done, delivered. The other point is so the helper stuff, the restore helper stuff. We planned it out, and we make a separate issue and work on that in the coming week. This week should be done, so people can play with it if they're interested. And the other thing is called upgrade manager, which I think this is most important to get feedback from validators. I'm really interested in your feedback here. You can see at a Regen Network, Cosmos Upgrade Manager, the repo. Here, the repo here. Please check this out. Here, and basically the deal is this: we're trying to design how this manager works. This manager will allow us basically to automatically switch binaries. So you don't have to be there. You just basically prepare the binaries beforehand and put them in certain directories. So it basically has a directory of a Genesis binary, and then upgrades with every upgrade name you have. So El Choco, El Mongo, Region 2000, whatever. Will have their own, and you can put their XRND binaries in these directories. And then you have an upgrade manager script, which will basically run them as sub-processes. It'll run them as sub-processes, and then it will, when it texts an upgrade message, it will switch the link and then restart it. So basically, transparently proxies out to the current version needs to be run. And yeah, so we talk about here, we talk about the usage of it here, exactly how it works. You basically have to install the Genesis binaries. We're checking these messages from the logs. An interesting feature that Aaron decided was the auto download. So we can, in the upgrade message, when we vote an upgrade, we can actually put binaries, links to binaries there. And these binaries are actually with a checksum. You see this checksum here? And this is a thing from a hashing corp called GoGetter. And so they're a checksum, so it can go through and it will say, okay, if you get this, it'll download the zip file. It'll verify the checksum is valid, so no one has changed it since we voted on it. And then if it's valid, it'll unpack that into a directory. So we can use this GoGetter issue to, we can use GoGetter to basically say, okay, we're gonna give a verifiable thing, and it will try to auto download it. So if you want to enable it, make it optional, because most validators probably don't want auto downloading code onto their servers. But for full nodes and people running at home, and very risky validators, you can do this, and basically it will say, hey, if we're doing an upgrade is triggered and we don't have the binary locally already, we're gonna go see if the vote on the blockchain had a link like this. I'm gonna go download that binary, install it locally myself, and then upgrade automatically. So in theory, a full node can start from Genesis and just run through and run through and run through, catch up months and for upgrades, and download all the binaries that it needs and switches them all out. So the idea is this to basically allow full node operators to run with zero overhead. And then existing validators can have minimal thing. When the vote is near passing, they can put the upgrade binary in the location and then go on holiday, and the upgrade will happen by itself. So that's design for this thing. So I'd like, please, I'll stick the link into the Slack or into the Telegram group later. But I was wondering if there's any feedback on this design, any concerns about, especially from validators. Malaya.
Sounds great. I like the idea about the manager for the relay. Sounds great. When you are explaining, I say it sounds good.
Awesome, great. Yeah, sounds awesome. I'm glad to have that. And if you want to look over this later, I'll send the link on Telegram. I'm happy if you have any comments on it, open issues on it. There's a prototype implemented. Aaron implemented a prototype, and then you were going through and specifying exactly how everything should work. And then we're going to make sure it's updated to match exactly the spec. So
perfect. Sounds great.
So the theory has been tested. He tested the theory, he prototyped it out, and now we're basically making sure we have a proper thing and defining how everything should work to make it clear, nice. So hopefully you have a useful tool, and people can choose to use it or not use it, or use it auto download, or use it non-auto download, or do everything by hand. But cool. Yeah, so that's basically screen shares on share. That's the big screen shares we have. Other points. So those are the main points we have coming up for upgrades. So the idea is that we will have this upgrade manager and other improvements we're working on. And the planning is we were thinking of the week of, I guess, the 17th of September for the upgrade. So yeah, next week, I believe Aaron and I are both on vacation, which is not a good week. And the week after is, I think, school start for people. A lot of kids are starting school, and it's a tight time. So we said, okay, let's push it 1 week after that. So yeah, so basically 3 weeks from today, more or less, we should have the upgrade. The code will be ready before then to try out, and the vote will probably start before then. The week before that, the actual upgrade date around 3 weeks from now, plus or minus a few days, is our planning. So that's our current plan, and get some feedback on which day of the week is good for people and what time is also good for people. So I think there's a lot of attempt to make things work kind of in US and Europe. And it seems, last time we were talking, maybe it should more focus on Europe, Asia, and have kind of bad hours for the US. Rather than having midnight in Asia, we can go for, midnight in the US. Because there's 3 different times that we're aiming at, and we only can really get 2 of them in reasonable hours, and one has to have really bad hours. So if there is any strong opinions there, it's definitely interested to hear that. Day of the week or times, especially like which continent.
Going to publish a poll on in the channel to let people kind of vote on preference.
We'll publish a poll. I don't know how to publish polls. I think Aaron is going to do that, but I want to bring this out so people listening ahead hear that and get inspired and can share their views for sure. So yeah, we realize the global stuff you have to short straw subcontinent. And so we'll take a straw, maybe rotate that every time, but we figure out where the values are strongest, and yeah, whoever has less representation probably has less. Cool. So anything, those are the main things. You have an opinion there? Malaya, where are you located, by the way? Which time zones?
What's the question?
What time zones? What time zone is your
and what time is great for the grade? I am okay with every time. Every hour is fine for me.
Every hour. Okay, awesome.
Sure. It's okay. It's not a problem. The time when you say it's okay.
Okay.
Malaya, you're in
so,
Barcelona, right?
Yes, Spain, Barcelona. Right now is 79. 7 at night, 18 minutes. I am in Barcelona, Spain.
Nice.
But
nice.
I am 24/7. 24/7.
Okay, ready. Always online.
Going on that, right? Yes.
Awesome. So yeah, let's do it this time, and we'll get hopefully it'll be much smoother this time. So it got pretty good. We got last time I think about 50% within like 10 minutes. So with a few more fix-ups we did this time, learnings, I hopefully get like at least 70% within those few minutes, 10 minutes. So that should hopefully, let's cross our fingers. Yeah. So I think that's the main thing, testnet planning. So we'll post polls on this. And then I just want a clarification. I don't know if you read the article. Anyone read the article about the roadmap? Have questions about it? I'm curious about it. I mean, it was a combination of what we're working on, our kind of infrastructure-related stuff we feel are missing in Cosmos that we are working to improve for ourselves and every other Cosmos-related project, so we can actually feel like we have a solid blockchain and a better experience for validators and users. And then hopefully once a few of these things have been ironed out, we can focus our main work on really our product-related stuff. There's a clear product to have pilot projects in the work. Regen knows a lot more about this than I do. I only know about one of them well, and I know there's a few more in the pipeline, and they have a lot of discussions. So basically we have people that want to run first pilot projects, running ecological assets on a blockchain with maps on it, interfaces, a lot of mapping stuff going in there, asset management, transferring rights, contracts on top of it. So we have a roadmap of various pieces we'll be adding on there. And I think that's a very interesting part here, which we're adding on. So hopefully once we get we're aiming to get one of them implemented for the mainnet launch with the upgrade manager, so we can cleanly add more and more of these features as we need to support more projects. So hopefully we'll be rolling out over the course of 2020 a series of projects supported by this and adding more features so we can support more and more projects as we need to, both in the front end and the back end support, which we need to have for it. So that's really, I think, the interesting part of this roadmap is what we can do once we get the ground link. Once it mainnet is not the end, it's only the beginning. Is by far finished.
Definitely.
And it's actually a clear, we enter the more agile mode of getting, what is it? Test, learn, measure, repeat, something like that. This more agile cycle. And really the upgrade is really key for us to have the agile cycle. It should be easy. We should be able to upgrade every month with a new feature too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been such an interesting tension, the tension between an agile, sort of lean, product-driven approach and the more correct by construction approach that's necessary to have a distributed network working, and social coordination. And I think we're all really excited to kind of like establish the back end and have the good community governance, and then shift gears and have our team and many other teams just able to pull libraries together and build things for users. I'm happy to speak a little bit about some of the pilots, if that's useful, just to kind of contextualize things, and don't need to if it's not the right time.
I think it'll be nice to mention a little bit, because the roadmap, we basically mentioned the tech stuff. I've gone over the text of the upgrade module, what we're working on in piecemeally. But really, if you look at the roadmap after, waiting for Q4 mainnet launch, like I said, September, you should hopefully have the upgrade module done and really start switching gears to product focus. And if this is going good, we'll have a final testnet and then mainnet launch Q4. I see no blockers to that yet.
Yeah.
So if things are running, and then really your focus is what these projects are and what we're actually delivering as value propositions.
There is a conversation about mainnet launch and how that sort of like syncs with the pilots and with partnerships. And there's some murmuring that it might make sense to postpone mainnet launch to Q1, like have everything ready and be, basic, or maybe we do a soft mainnet launch and then, I don't know, but because there's a couple of partnerships and like the use stuff, and if we were to be thinking about synchronizing kind of like the fanfare of the launch, if that makes sense, maybe February of the first quarter makes a lot of sense, because there's going to be sort of like a bunch of our users driving towards their utility at that time. And so if it sort of like all happens at once, there's something to be said about that. I don't know. I mean, so there's a conversation happening that it'd be fun to just kind of like poll the validators as well, poll our users. It's awesome that the back end can be ready on Q4. And so do we launch as soon as that's ready and then start upgrading, or do we, I mean, there's just sort of a cool conversation to have there. In terms of pilots, and how that relates to what's happening here on the product side at Techstars, we have really sort of 5 main pilots going on right now. One is focused on product premiums for healthy ecological management of farms in the Ecuadorian rainforest. And people making both, there's sort of like a verification piece of there's a claim made, and then there's a set of data provided to support that claim, and then that claim triggers a contract that executes a premium payment to the farm that's registered in the system. So that's one. There's another one with the Rainforest Foundation, which is pertinent with the rainforest burning down right now, around indigenous land management and protection, in which we're sort of doing traceability for donations, like, where do the donations go, and then what happens after the donation. There's sort of like a piece there that we're providing. It's a pretty simple use of our ledger. In that case, it's just using sort of time-stamping capacity of the ledger, and there's not really any contract yet, although there's some conversation about potential contract betas. There's a beta happening, or a pilot happening right now with some grazing, where sort of proof of regenerative grazing, graze against the machine, is being registered and claims are made, and then a carbon credit is being issued. And let's see, we did some work. There's a sort of no-till regenerative agriculture pilot happening where we're doing sort of satellite verification of some practices associated with increases in soil health. And of course, for those of you who may have seen our sort of primer video about Regen Network, we're always so excited about soil, because if you're building soil, you're pulling carbon out of the atmosphere through the plants and you're creating healthier foundation for agriculture. So there's another pilot happening there. And actually what we're doing right now at Techstars is trying to focus our attention on a specific, sort of identifying one specific user group that we're going to focus on in the short term to do customer work with, to drive adoption of Regen Network and the tools that we're building, so that then we can sort of broaden out and build many different relationships with people who need sort of the secure distributed ledger infrastructure around ecological claims and ecological markets. So that's sort of the next step after that. So hopefully that's some helpful context. There's a lot moving. And the last thing that I'd share is coming up in the end of September, we're having a gathering for open agriculture technology, in which a bunch of our partners are all going to be gathering here in Denver and working on open science hardware, sensors, the distributed ledger backend, smart contracts, identity layers. And a lot of these people, what's cool is, are coming from the non-blockchain space, and then we're coming from the blockchain space, and there's a big gathering of developers and users and science teams all coming together over 3 days at the end of September, which is very exciting. It's called GOAT, the Gathering for Open Agriculture Technology. And open invitation for anyone. Definitely a lot of our team members are going to be there. Hopefully we're going to be able to steal Ethan for a little bit, but not sure. Ethan, you may have family stuff going on. And it's an open invitation to all of us.
I think I can't come. I'd love to. I think I'll be a remote guy. I think I'll have to be remote there.
Yeah, maybe we can beam you in.
Let's change your work hours a little bit and come in there.
Yeah.
Streaming.
Cool. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And there will be some live streaming, and there's a whole forum dedicated to that particular gathering, which will start sort of like linking into our Telegram channel, so people can kind of, get a sense of the chatter and what's being worked on there. And it's sort of like our user community, a big part of the community we're trying to build the distributed ledger layer for, we'll all be together. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, the growth stuff sounds really cool too. I'm definitely one to be there, but I don't know how much travel I can do, especially these long overseas trips.
Yeah, it's a long trip.
But definitely, I'll definitely happy to be. I don't like long trips, and I take a trip to the US. I basically want to spend at least 2 weeks there for jet lag and everything. Yeah, so let's sort out something, and definitely want to be remote hackathons and meeting people as much as possible. So awesome stuff.
Cool. Yeah, that's about all from my end. Yeah, I'm not sure what else we want to cover on the call. I'm happy to end. I know people have lots of things to do.
I just did a little metadata analysis on our validator incentivized testnet KYC to just see what countries people are coming from. If people want to hear that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, and it'd be cool to publish that. I also, did I get people's contact information in that like email and Telegram and stuff, Twitter? I don't remember.
Did you what? You broke up there for a moment for me.
Did I get all of our validators' Twitter information and Telegram information in that KYC?
No, I don't think we have all that, no.
Yeah, I need to reach back out and make sure to get all of that.
Yeah, so
I would. Okay, I also the time zones. Yeah.
Yeah, just as far as the the countries, Romania is in the lead right now with 9. US is second with 6. Bulgaria with 3. Germany with 2. Moldova 2. And then France, Indonesia, Spain, UK, Russia. Oh, there's 2 Spains. Whoops. How did I do that? Canada, Hong Kong, Ukraine.
Okay. So it looks very overwhelmingly European centered.
Yeah.
And then secondly, US, Canada, and then only 1 or 2 in Asia, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
Indonesia.
I think that's the main thing. So let's just focus on Europe. Times doesn't work in Europe, working hours, and then I guess Europe, North America. We can switch to Europe, Asia. But
yeah.
all right.
Sounds good.
And
So-
also that's people who have done KYC. So I'm guessing there's some validators who have not done that. So there could be missing folks. But
Yeah, I mean, there are people who I know I had a couple conversations with validators who were, for a variety of reasons, not interested in doing KYC, but did want to be participating in the testnet and the mainnet launch, and that's great, totally understandable. So there may be some mysteries out there too.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Well, thanks, Ethan, for leading us on the call. Thanks, Melea, for joining, and Will. And we'll be publishing this as usual as soon as it gets processed into YouTube.
Great.
Thank
Wonderful.
you for the meeting, Frank. Very nice.
Yeah. Cool.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Thank you. All right. Then see you next week, everyone.